If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
I've got one that can see.
You will be hollow. We shall squeeze you empty, and then we shall fill you with ourselves. Have you understood, Winston? $1.95.
I mean, from the people that brought you eugenics, you know, it's like, but yeah, you just had this cognitive dissonance where it's just like, okay, well.
Winston, do not imagine that you will save yourself. No one who has once gone astray is ever spared. Even if we chose to let you live out your life, you would never escape from it. What happens to you here is forever. Things will happen to you here from which you could not recover if you lived 1,000 years. Never again will you be capable of ordinary human feelings, of love or friendship or joy of living, of laughter or curiosity or courage or integrity.
A new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. A new world order where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind. A new world order can emerge. There is the very real prospect of a new world order.
I mean, from the people that brought you eugenics, you know, it's like,
right now,
yeah, you just had this cognitive
I'm going to
dissonance
actually
where it's just
come
like,
out with the numbers and just publish.
Food shows that it damages organs, it causes infertility, it causes immune system failure, it causes holes in the GI tract, it causes multiple organ system failure.
25, 30, 35 years ago, no one was allergic to anything. And now everything. I have people that are allergic to parsley.
When you link it to the GMO issue, it resonates like you would not believe.
Monsanto's the company that told us that PCBs were safe. They told us that Agent Orange was safe. They told us that DDT was safe, and now they're in charge of telling us if their own genetically modified foods are safe. Because the FDA doesn't require a single safety study, they leave it to Monsanto.
If this causes infertility, awesome. The world is overpopulated. This is why GMO is actually saving the planet. I'm doing humanity a fucking favor. Sincerely, Ed.
Questions are now being asked on Monsanto buying a firm that's injected a permanent infertility gene into corn. The corporation's name is Epicite.
Epicite patented a product, patented a gene, which causes both men and women who eat it, in the form of any product, to produce antibodies, rendering them irreversibly sterile.
So I started doing this type of work back in 2007. I had woken up, quote unquote, become aware of the situation through obviously my personal experience for people who know that backstory, which I won't be getting into in this interview. And for years before that, I was kind of, formulating ideas and, considering putting this out in a wider way than other than just people who I spoke to in my personal life. And in 2007, I began publicly speaking and presenting. But I may stop putting work out to the public through my website, my YouTube channel, my, online store, gift store, etc. I may need to stop doing that. And there's a very specific set of reasons for that.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Has nothing to do with me not believing in what I do has nothing to do with me being threatened. Okay, so people who think that that's what this is, you're way off. This is about, one, the effectiveness of it, and two, what I feel is of significant imbalance in what people who are putting out quality work are doing versus the simple, essentially, pure consumption of that work by other people with absolutely no effort on their own part to get involved and do something. Having said that, I did it almost entirely myself. If more people simply did what they felt was important to put out and did it, the world would be changing at a faster rate, instead of people pointing fingers and saying, I would do it this way, when you're doing shit. When you're doing absolute shit. Zero. And that's the majority of this movement, is finger pointers and people who ain't doing shit. Okay? Let's get that totally clear. Yet they want to be the first to point fingers. I don't think it's unreasonable, after having done that work for free, organized conferences for free, put out all this material for free over the last 10 years, to ask from people who have not done that themselves. See, I'm not asking for help from people who have done work, who have put out work online themselves. If you're doing that and you're actively doing it, you've fulfilled your obligation, regardless of how much material it is, okay? If you have a YouTube channel that you put work into on a daily or weekly basis, wonderful. Put the work out, do that. If you've written books, wonderful. Continue to do that. I'm talking about people who, it doesn't matter whether you're working a regular job. We're not talking about that kind of work. We're talking about doing the great work. Regardless of whether you have hardly any time to do it, you got to make time. You have to at least make truth some sort of a...
And remember too, the drama industry, the entertainment industry, I've always said this, the people follow the stars. And they're the guiding stars in the so-called occult, you see. We tend to worship wealth and people and famous people. Or at the very least, it's basic psychological manipulation. Bernays' techniques, again, remembering too that he called it the creation of a consumer society. Well-behaved people, as long as there's money going around, they would go into the material world and they would forgo having children. That's the same thing as Charles Galton Darwin talks about. If we can encourage the woman and the male to go after the material benefits of the world, there's a slimmer chance they'll actually have children who tend to be economically burdensome. People were addicted to television in a very short space of time. Most people still today think that all entertainment to do with movies, drama, is there for nothing more than their entertainment. It never ever was that case. The greatest social messages are promoted through movies and drama, high drama, through the fixation of emotive sequences, emotional sequences, not logical, factual sequences, but pushing points across in an emotional way which register and fix in the mind. So emotional content is very, very important, rather than going through an actual discussion or an argument using logic and facts. There's no debate. And when you're being downloaded through fiction, your guard is down, the censor part of your brain is not in action as you would in a debate or a lecture. You're actually in an alpha state, being completely downloaded with new ideas. Very similar to a computer. And so therefore, a culture industry, which is called by its own the culture industry. The Soviet Union had a department called the culture industry. Their actors and directors were called the cultural leaders. All you have to do is keep giving them new updates every so often, and you can change an entire country or a nation or a block of nations. We're all getting the same upgrades at the same time along certain paths. Today we call it political correctness. Most people want to belong to their peer group. They want to be the same as everyone else when it comes to opinions. In fact, they judge their own personal sanity by bouncing ideas off their neighbours and friends who will answer back and agree on these same topics in kind. It doesn't matter if the topics or what you're given are facts or utter nonsense, as long as everyone agrees at the same time. You'll say, well, I'm sane, and your friends will all agree because they've had the same information given to them. We don't only get the same information given to us, we're led through sequences, even documentaries, to leave you with a predetermined fixed conclusion on any given topic. Most folk are once again unaware of this. They think, I've just been given all the facts on this topic, and this is the obvious conclusion, which is always given to you by the final experts on the particular program. There's no thinking involved. We tie this in with the Brzezinski. Brzezinski said in 2 Ages, now this guy was way up with the NSA.
Hobby, quote unquote, that you will do in the spare time that you do have. Everybody has some spare time. I don't care how busy you are. You know, people can make spare time to watch a TV show or a movie or go out to dinner. Well, you could sacrifice some of that time and, you know, help with the freedom movement. The bottom line is there's so many consumers of all this information, but not enough producers of this information, not enough creators. People who actually put out their own work. So I'm saying not everybody has to do that, but if you don't do that, get involved with someone who does and help them. You know, if you can't be a person who puts out original content, get together with someone who puts out original content and help them in what they do if you believe in it. It's not an unreasonable request.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. A new world order where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind. A new world order can emerge. There is the very real prospect of a new world order.
From the people that brought you eugenics, you know, it's like...
Right now...
Yeah, you just had this cognitive
I'm going
dissonance.
to actually come out with the numbers and just publicly disclose my finances to people. How about that, Ivan? How about that as an exclusive on your broadcast? Okay, well, I'm going to publicly disclose what I make in the course of a year to live on. In the last year of my life, ladies and gentlemen, I made $13,000. Now, you try living on that. You try living on that. Now, there you have it. Right there. That's throwing it all on the table in everybody's face so you can talk about it. Okay? $13,000 in the last year. Minus what all the expenses that I have. That's what I made to live on. Now, most people forget it. It would be absolute pauper level life. I've been able to eke out a decent living situation where I am at because of help that I've received. But that's actually what I've made in the last year. And people would say, all the money Mark makes, or the team that he has. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The people who say this shit. You don't know me. You don't know shit about me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I do. At fucking all. Okay? So, getting back to what I'm talking about.
2018, it's 2018. Oh my God, 2018, and we still have so many people who are denying what is happening right smack in their face all of the geoengineering, the chemtrails that are being laid out right smack in front of them, denying weather modification when there is mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence. So this is what I'm going to say to all of you in California. You need to download all of the evidence, you need to print it out, and you need to slap awake your fellow Californians, because you are the state that is going down fast. They are using these weapons against you, and people are dying, people are losing their homes. These people who still choose to be willfully ignorant, they have blood on their hands. They are your enemy because they refusing to face reality at this point when it's so obvious. They are creating a reality in which we all have to suffer the consequences. But you guys out in California that still have your homes, they are absolutely your enemy, and they will, if they don't finally grow up, do the research, acknowledge reality, acknowledge that we are at war, they are putting you in jeopardy.
The American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest.
There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilized it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn it.
So yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government in New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans
worldwide,
millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir. And if somebody had told me that that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. That they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world.
Chemtrail. I mean, from the people that brought you eugenics, you know, it's like...
Put yourself in their shoes. Please. A powerful winter storm that dropped record rain. Record rain. Bodies were found in mud and debris during rescue operations in Montecito. Crews rescued other residents from inundated homes as mud and debris from wildfire-scarred hillsides flowed through neighborhoods. Trees and power lines down, thousands without power. Rain continues to fall from a huge winter storm that was man-made, not God, not natural, not Mother Nature. And your governor, Jerry Brown, Moonbeam, is making such an utter fool out of everyone in California who chooses to remain ignorant, and you actually listen to that guy who is such a sick, twisted psychopath. 30 miles of US 101 shut down along the border of Santa Barbara and Ventura County. See, I think a lot of people are getting just so desensitized to this kind of catastrophe that they don't really care. I would suggest that you don't leave comments telling me to relax. Because all I will say to you is, if you're relaxed while this is going on, there's something wrong with you. Don't leave me comments telling me that God is in control. Bitter cold is exactly what we should expect from global warming, says Al Gore. How could any adult American actually take this guy seriously? How could any adult American believe the abject lies that this... I don't have any kind of patience for people who are adults who just will not ever do the research. Santa Barbara cloud seeding project in coastal Southern California. This gives you a good history of the weather modification projects in Santa Barbara County. Okay? Santa Barbara County takes your tax money and spends it on weather modification. They take your tax dollars and give it to companies like Weather Modification Incorporated. Why would we have weather modification services companies, commercial companies that provide weather modification if it does not take place? Santa Barbara County Water Agency. Your water agency spends your money to increase precipitation. If they can't do this, then why are they giving your tax dollars to weather modification services companies to perform weather modification? Why does Santa Barbara County give your tax dollars to North American Weather Consultants, another company that has been incorporated since 1950 to provide weather modification services to virtually every state in our fabulous union? Why? If they can't do that, if we are considered to be conspiracy theorists who are just out of our minds, why do they have commercial companies providing these services? Santa Barbara County, since 1981, has been, via its water agency, providing weather modification in Santa Barbara. Is this not upsetting that we have so much evidence that California alone has been conducting weather modification operations since 1963? This is a document of weather modification operations in California. October 1, 1963, September 30, 1964. And who was the governor then? Moonbeam's father. Now you got Moonbeam. And you think that this man doesn't know? He does know. But he gets out there and he makes fools of every one of you who believe him, believe his lies when he talks about climate change. This is being brought to you. All of the quote-unquote natural disasters, the fires, the flooding, all of it is coming to you deliberately to destroy you. And if you don't wake up now, more and more of you will be destroyed by your fabulous Moonbeam governor who allows this to occur. And then he lies to you. But I'm sorry, it has become so obvious. It is sickening how obvious it is now. And here, the table of contents of that document back in 1963 to 64, active weather modification licenses, weather modification operations in California, the calendar of weather modification operations, targeted areas of your weather modification operations. But was it really just in the 60s that this started? No, state of California, weather modification operations in California, July 1952 June 1956. Look at Intellicast. Look at all of these ultra-low frequencies being set off. It is very, very upsetting when you see all of this that is absolutely being used as a weapon of war, and you just can't get through to people. It's a brilliant, brilliant weapon of war. But they're not hiding anything. It's right smack in our face now.
To make it work for people. It's what you need, the split second you need it. Blurring the lines between virtual and reality.
Ben?
Gabrielle?
Yeah, didn't I meet you at that event last
We built our network to make the future possible. 5G is coming. And with it, innovation that makes our lives simpler and seems inevitable, yet essential the second we experience it. And things you never thought possible become the new normal. When the future becomes reality, we'll be right there with you. Future for you, one technology first at a time, and we won't stop.
I mean, from the people that brought you eugenics, you know?
No, it's not. But for all of us who are hypersensitive to the frequencies already, I think we're just going to be keeling over once it's fully deployed and up and running. All of you who are asymptomatic, guarantee that many of you will cross over into symptomatic. More and more people will come down with cancer. More and more people will struggle with a whole range of medical issues, chronic physical pain. That has already happened with the microwave frequencies. So that's what we have to look forward to. It's a national security priority. When I was reading this paper and came across some information, I thought, oh Jesus, this has to do with 5G. And that's what this video is about. 5G, Internet of Things, Agenda 2030, Vision 2050, and how it is the endgame to finally getting a scientific dictatorship to control every aspect of our life, every object on the planet. But 5G. 5G are using millimeter waves. And I guess that's the high end of microwave frequencies. Millimeter wave scanning can allow them to see small objects in your home, even you, very clearly. Now, many will say, hey, the police have been using these scanners to, these frequencies that go through walls and they can see inside people's homes. They can't see very clearly with those scanners. With the millimeter wave, it's high definition. So, when 5G finally gets rolled out, and we're using 5G, all those people who are so excited because it's going to be so fast, and they can download a video and watch it on their smartphones, on their home, without any interference. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. They can see everything that you are doing in your home. They can see every object. But these millimeter waves, they don't just go through walls. They go through skulls. And it will give them more efficient frequencies to read your mind or induce thoughts into your mind that you'll think are your own. Now, this 5G millimeter wave allows them a high bandwidth digital data transmission, which I will get to in a second. But what else can it do? It can pick up metallic and plastic concealed handguns. They call it remote frisking. We don't need the police anymore to frisk, to do that stop and frisk. So when they're talking about the 5G and how wonderful it's going to be for all of us because our computers are going to be so much faster, you also have to think about the dark, hidden agenda behind the 5G. It will make surveillance more dangerous. You know, what upsets me when I read these articles, I just think to myself, how many Americans even know that we don't live in a democracy? We live in a constitutional republic. That's all we were hearing. It's a democracy. It's a democracy. And I kept thinking to myself, why do we just keep hearing democracy? And what the hell does that mean? Anyway, it was the social engineering of the Americans to make them forget that we live in a constitutional republic. That is what our founders created. Benjamin Franklin, when asked by a woman, "So what kind of government did you give us, sir?" And he said, "A constitutional republic. If you can keep it." We didn't keep it. It's gone. And any American who thinks that we still have a constitution that's operational, that they actually enforce, anybody who believes that we live in a constitutional republic is living in a delusion. And smart test, 1 trillion sensors scattered all over the globe. Why? Because the millimeter wave will connect them all. That's the Internet of Things. We've got trillions of sensors already, and it's all for that big data. We've got supercomputers. They've got quantum computers. They have computers so fast that they can read all of these sensors in real time. So, well, if you are concealing a plastic gun or a gun, the antenna that they're putting up that's emitting these millimeter waves will record that gun. The smart dust that we may be inhaling, that they may be spraying down, the geoengineering of the skies, they probably have been spraying this smart dust or neural dust. Those terms are interchangeable. And who's got control over that neural dust but DARPA, the scariest Dr. Strangelove Frankenstein agency we've got going in the Department of Defense? Neural dust enables precise wireless recording of nerve activity. We've seen the patents where they can use these frequencies that we're already saturated in to control our central nervous system, to make us feel anxious or depressed or affect the physiology that we have. The neural dust, the smart dust. Berkeley came up with this neural dust. Berkeley engineers have created the first dust-sized sensor that can be implanted in the human body. Well, they write implanted, but it can also be inhaled. Nano-sized, sand-sized sensors. And our higher institutions, anybody who believes that they're free, that this higher learning that we have is independent of our military-industrial complex, is also living a delusion. The monitoring of everything, you've got to think Agenda 21, 2030, Vision 2050, what the United Nations is doing to enslave the planet. And that's why they're moving out 5G so rapidly. And it's not only the United States, China is also rolling it out really quickly, but it is the latest in mind manipulation technology, neural smart dust. The company that has been flooding our world with these sensors, billions, 1 trillion sensors, Hewlett-Packard. Sensors everywhere. They can spray, to give you an example, they can spray dust on a dollar bill. And that sensor will stay on that dollar bill, and they can track that dollar bill everywhere it goes. Sensors will be everywhere. They will be on the street. They will be in your homes, they will be in your body, they will be on every... We have the willfully ignorant who still refuse to have, adult conversations. They just want to live their self-centered, selfish, blissful life. Or we have these new agers who believe that, well, you create your own reality, and I'm not bringing any negative stuff into my reality. These are the people who are creating a collective reality that is incredibly dark. These are the people who are creating our reality with our freedom being stripped. And yes, I am angry at them.
No microwaves. Now switch on the base unit for the baby monitor, and straight away you will hear it picking up the pulsating microwaves.
However, when we turn on the radio frequency meter, it is measuring the transmission of the wireless coming out of this modem. And you can see that the peak signal strength on the left column of this meter is at almost 6 volts per meter. That's as high as it goes. And on the right-hand side, the microwatts per square meter in terms of average is sometimes peaking up at 10,000. These are extremely dangerous readings of radio frequency radiation going through my body. And
we walk along the street, we're getting readings that are from the smart meters, but not from cordless phones or Wi-Fi. So that shows that the smart meters are actually a lot more powerful than any of the other electromagnetic fields around here. So, when PG&E says, oh, well,
There's another one, huh?
The smart meters are so much lower power than these other consumer appliances. When you're walking along the street in an area that's been installed with wireless meters, the smart meter is the thing that is really strongest, stronger than any of these other things.
Network system requires Gwen towers, one every 300 miles. Why do we have them back to back, littered all over the country? Well, because they're very dangerous, and they're not just used to relay emergency information. They're also being used for mind control and the dangerous health effects coming out of this system, these ground-based frequencies. This is one of the methods that they have to keep all of us very sick. But this is another Gwen tower. All of the towers, now it could just be one pole. They're very high, much, much taller than cell phone towers, but you will see all of these wires going down to the ground. It's a ground-based system. All of these wires go into the ground and shoot out frequencies through the ground. So here, perception and behavioral effects of electromagnetic fields, the effects on organs and tissues. This also has a video. You may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension, Nikola Tesla. And they talk about how frequencies can manipulate the jet stream, induce earthquakes, manipulate the weather. Unfortunate that we have so many people who are just refusing to look at this, to look at how these cell phone towers, Gwen towers, they're all used as weapons against us. But in this article, embedded is excerpts from another paper, a 1982 Air Force Review of Biotechnology, the application of military frequency weaponry And the reason why I'm including this is because I posted a video, Dr. Tent, talking about how autoimmune diseases are exploding. It's not autoimmune, it is viruses, it is parasites. Well, they can actually, we all have parasites. Life has parasites in it, but they can use these frequencies to bring to life these parasites. So many people left comments saying, yeah, I hear the ringing, I hear the buzzing, I hear the chirping, I hear the clicking. Look at this, American Tinnitus Association. You know, they start these associations. They start doing all of this research. Wow, there is so many people experiencing tinnitus. We better do some research. We better get donations from people. Since 1980, we have allocated over $6 million to advance tinnitus research. Tinnitus, it's a complicated audiological and neurological condition with multiple triggering catalysts and biological pathologies. Researchers around the world are working to better understand the many forms of tinnitus, optimize tinnitus management therapies, and discover a definitive cure for this condition. What do they care? Why do they need to hide anything anymore? They know that the majority of the American people are incapable of facing reality. Incapable. They love their lies. They love people like Al Gore to tell them the inconvenient truth. They love it because it doesn't require any effort on their part. The laziness of Americans, the narcissism of Americans, it's killing us. It truly is.
These people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be a greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
Killing us. So, what else do we have? We have an awful lot of laws. Worldwide law, United States of America, federal laws pertaining to weather modification, state laws, California. You have laws regarding weather modification. Programs, weather modification operations in California, 1952 to 1956, operations in 1964, operations in 1972. You didn't need to have your drought. That was deliberate. How do you wake these people up? I don't know.
I don't really know. I mean, as an awake person, when you can't reach out to people, I mean, what are you supposed to do, and how are we supposed to keep our hopes up? I mean, It's so depressing when you think of it.
Yeah, it is, because the conditioning on most people, when you see them and they can't look you in the eye or they think you're crazy, it's because the condition has taken perfectly on them. And you're looking at conditioned robots, really. And they'll turn on you too. At the right time, they'll turn on you. But that's the perfect conditioning. The ones who are awake generally have always been awake, or they've known something was wrong. And they can't be conditioned quite the same way. But you're in amongst most people where the conditioning has worked perfectly. And that's the problem. I've always said the elite have a symbiosis amongst the masses of people, the general mass of people. Because the masses always look towards government to solve problems, even if it's a fake problem put out by the government. We immediately run to help us, save us, And there's only very few people in between, in the middle, who don't want to be stinking rich and rule everyone else's lives for them. And they don't want to belong to the general mob that just goes and watches all the porn on their internet all day long, or ball games or whatever. So it's a small group really who don't belong to either camp. That's a problem. Because as I say, the masses have a symbiotic relationship with the elite. And eventually when they get all their agendas through, the elite will turn around and say, we couldn't have done it without you, to the masses.
Yeah, and that's such a... I think it's disgusting. There's no other word for it. It's just utterly disgusting. Yeah?
It is, and it's very depressing until you realize that you might be surprised how many of those in between who are not brainwashed or conditioned and who don't seek personal power can still have a voice and start changing things around. And that's the only hope that we have, is to postpone it at least long enough. They'll either wither away or they'll come out with an even heavier hand. But that's when even the masses start to see it and they know something's wrong, when the heavy hand of the monster comes upon them. And that's what it might take. Stall them long enough until timetables, according to those at the top, cannot be stalled. If you can stall their timetables, they get awfully angry and they start using force. Force is, at least the use of force, terrifies the public, and maybe even to waking up a little bit. And that's all we can really hope for. It's because it's too perfect. It's been here too long, this system.
But we cannot use violence and force.
No, they're so perfectly good at getting us to kill each other or fight each other. This has been their strategy for centuries, and it's a perfect art of how to get it all going. We can't use that at all. And but by the same token, we have to make sure that the elites don't come out with a heavy hand and start using open force on the general public. Here's the thing too. They have been using force, or at least deadly intentions on the general public, because they know how they've been dumbing us down. They know when they rob your mind, it's the same as killing you. And when they inject things into you too that make the autism bloom, and it also makes everyone quite a few points lower in the IQ scale, makes us all sick so that we'll die off early, infertile, etc. They are physically, literally, this is a targeting, this is a murderous rampage has been going on for a long time under the usual covert actions of the United Nations that always deny what they're doing. One of the top players in this, who wrote about it, who taught Rhodes Scholars back in the 40s and 30s, internationalist again, who spoke, by the way, so he made a great speech in Sweden, was Toynbee. There were two Toynbees, father and son, and one took over from the other. But they literally taught the Rhodes Scholars for internationalism and to penetrate all governments and push them towards internationalism. He said, we always deny with our mouths what our hands are doing. And that was to become the mantra for every organization within the United Nations. We always deny with our mouths what our hands are doing. And that's still their strategy.
They're zombies. They're robotic zombies. Weather modification, the law. California now admits to using weather modification in hopes of creating rainfall. Your state even admitted it. But you have so many Californians who look at you guys who are in California, you know what's going on, and they call you crazy. Do not back down with these people. Do not get afraid of them. Look, how long can we just go on being afraid of people who call us crazy? You really have to put all of the evidence together and just slam it down. Put it in their face. Just in the last couple of months, we have had millions of people, Houston, surrounding area, Florida, Puerto Rico, California, those who had to suffer the consequences of the winter storm that Al Gore is now claiming it's climate change. You have your governor, Moonbeam, who tells you that this is the new normal. The new normal. Get used to it. Get used to it. You have Wikipedia. Wikipedia. How easy could it be for Americans to just put in weather modification and Wikipedia comes up? Weather modification in North America. Weather modification in North America has been taking place since the 1950s. Programs related to this field have been authorized by the governments of both the United States and Canada. Alberta Hail Project, Project Storm Fury. In Southern California, you happen to have an awful lot of programs going on. But here, hell, yeah, it's a short page, it's Wikipedia, but it's Wikipedia, okay? This company in Australia, Acquiesce.
We could bring in the oceanic rain, and we need to be conscious it's not about delivering rain on land, it's about nurturing a rain system that can promote agriculture to protect the people involved. So in all cases, we want to make sure we don't get flooding, but we can deliver timely rain in a gentle soaking manner into agricultural targets. Technology relies on a signal that we're able to generate that triggers a response from atmospheric patterns. So we're able to observe this using satellite meteorology, extensively available now to everyone who's got access to broadband internet. But we're able to utilize that signal sent in sequence to generate a incremental deviation in the flow path of these oceanic atmospheric rivers. So the source is the ocean, of course. The vapor, reciprocal moisture flow is in the atmosphere. The winds drive this with the pressure systems adjusting the path of least resistance. But our technology is able to interface that and hack into it, if you like, and make some micro adjustments to allow deviations to occur in the flow pathway. This is how we broke the drought in Australia in 2005. This is how we put out the fires of Victoria from Black Saturday in 2009.
Okay, so your fires could have been put out and your drought was unnecessary. Unnecessary. You know, look, I'm about the information. I don't care. Well, I do care, but I don't have the energy. My videos are what my videos are. And I just hope that you too are about the information. And please give it to your fellow Californians. And if they continue to refuse to look at it, to face reality, then they are absolutely 100% the enemy. They're making a choice to be the enemy. They're making a choice to be part of, complicit with the destruction of your fellow Californians. who are dying because of mudslides, who are losing their homes because of fires, or these heavy rains that are taking homes from their foundations or destroyed by the mudslides. And you can tell them that. And you can tell them how unbelievably immature they are. And you can tell them how unbelievably self-centered they are. And you can tell them how unbelievably irresponsible they are. And at this point, frankly, with all of the destruction because of the deliberate weather events that are taking place, anybody who has in their life the enemy, yeah, I'm going to say this. I don't know how you could possibly have some human being still in your life that is clearly someone who is just a programmed robot, not a human being.
That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And why your conference is probably going to be my last public work. I have asked for simple assistance technically. Yes, you need certain skills. Here in my city, a metropolitan region of over 4 million souls. The city where the Declaration of Independence was written and signed and where the American Revolutionary War was fomented and waged from. The center of it. There is not one human being with the required skills that will step up and say, Mark, I'll help you a little bit. Zero. In the last couple of years. I will volunteer a little bit of time to help you put the word out. So you could organize your material and you could get it out faster. Or sit behind a console, work a piece of software so you can simply worry about presenting without producing your own show in addition to presenting. Zero. And I ask everybody to think of the question, do you think it's a reasonable thing for me to demand and require and expect a little bit of help from all the free work that I have done over the years? I'm not even asking for any money. I don't want to make any money. I don't care about making money. I want someone else in this region of the world to say, I feel that this is having a positive benefit and impact in my life and other people's lives, and I want to get involved in helping to do it. And I want them to come on board the operation as a volunteer, and at some point, maybe if I do well enough in the future, I might be able to share, some resources with them. But I don't actually even have enough resources to share that with people right now. If I want to even have money to live and eat. And I don't think that is an unreasonable request to get a little bit of volunteer help. Everybody expects all these videos out for free, Everybody expects the website, every part of it to be free. Everybody expects, they want everything for total free. I want it to all be free too. I've made it all for free. But I can't continue to do any of this, folks, unless I get some technical help that I desperately need. I need help locally. Ladies and gentlemen, I need help locally. I've asked for over a year from many different people and sources. No one has stepped forward in the 4 million souls of the metropolitan area of Philadelphia. And my response to that is, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It would have to be a little damn bit of giving back for free. Just a little. That's all I ask. After everything I've done. In case you can't hear it in the sound of my voice, folks, I'm a bitter, bitter, bitter person. Because I've given the last 10 years of my life for absolutely fucking nothing. Nothing has changed. It's gotten worse. Slavery's gotten worse. Duress has gotten worse. Ignorance has gotten worse. Apathy has gotten worse. Not taking any fucking action has gotten worse. This is what this whole situation in the world has deteriorated into. It's a fucking bad joke. And I'm done with it. I'm done with trying to seriously research and help people to understand what the fuck is going on. I'm done. Unless I get the help I need to do it right. So here's the situation. This is how it's going to be. Because I am under no obligation other than a moral obligation to continue to do this, and I'll do it in the way that I choose to do it. I'll put it out there personally in my own life, but I'm not going to continue to do this publicly with all the money that it costs and all the time and effort that it costs. Okay? I'm not going to do it unless I get the help I need. You know, people think, oh, it's free to maintain all this equipment. It's free to maintain a website. It's free to, you know, get all the resources you need. Paper, ink, buying discs, buying flash drives. You know, I don't monetize my YouTube channel because I don't want fucking stupid ads in it. So I'm going to tell you how the future is going to go for What on Earth is Happening and the work of Mark Passio. So everybody out there can decide whether it's been a big flop and a big disaster and the dark occultists were right. And I know that they were right. How's that?
You know, one of the biggest differences between me and most of you is when I'm wrong and when I'm stupid, I don't let my ego get in the way. I can look in the mirror and I can say, Bill, you're stupid. And you better change your ways. And I do. Because I don't like to be stupid, and I've done it several times in my life. Why in the world did I ever justify hanging my butt out over the cliff? For most of you, I'll never know. Some of you I do know. Some of you are really good people. Most of the good people I know belong to the intelligence service or the Citizens Agency for Joint Intelligence. And there are a few, very few who don't. But most of you, I'll tell you the truth, after all the misery that you cause those who spend their lives trying to help you, you don't deserve the time of day from any of us. And that's the truth. You're going to get what you deserve. I can assure you of that right now. You're not going to have a savior in the next election. In fact, you are going to ensure that the election is lost to the enemy. And it's going to be the American people who does it, not the enemy. Stupid Americans, ignorant Americans, dummies. Who never have changed their life since high school. If you really want to understand adult society, and I don't care what you call your society or what level of education you have, go look at any high school student body, look at the games they play and the cliques they have and what they spend most of their time doing. And that is the same thing that you'll find in any adult group of people in this nation on any day of the week you want to look. They don't want to go to school. They spend a lot of time trying to keep from going to school. The only reason that they really go to work, most of them. Some of them really like their work. Most of them is so that they can get a paycheck so that they can party and get laid. Or buy that big car that they wanted, and to hell with what's going on in Washington, D.C. until they take my car or my party away. I'm just really not worried about it. Isn't that the truth? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've found that that's exactly the truth. And when you set out to find the truth, it's not really to find the truth, it's to find validation for what you already believe is the truth. It's to reinforce your fantasies. And police officers sworn to uphold the law, protect and defend the Constitution of their state and of the United States of America, blatantly ignoring the law, stripping the rights from citizens, committing crimes just so they don't lose their job. Afraid that if they lose their job, they won't be able to find another job that pays as well. You make me puke. I'm so sick of it, you're going to see some major changes coming on this broadcast and in my organizations. I've had it with you. My family and I are going to enjoy life from now on. We're still going to print Veritas, and it's still going to be the best paper in the United States of America, and this is still going to be the best radio broadcast, but it's going to be a lot different than what it has been. And my organization is still going to consist of the best people in this country collecting information.
My presentation at Truth Mind Reality will be my last public work. That's how it's going to be. So I'm sorry to have to make it be like that, but that's exactly how it is. So there you have it, folks. It's not in my hands, it's in yours. Do something. You know, I hate to take it to a level of having to make threats about stuff. But unfortunately, asking nicely got nothing done. Got nothing accomplished because people are lazy and selfish. And they don't want to get involved. They're lazy, they're selfish, and they're cowardly. They're scared to get involved. If you don't like it, I could care less. You haven't been where I've been, you don't know where I know, and you haven't done what I've done. And you don't know what I've been through. So I could give a shit about what you think, about what I did, what I've just said, or how I've said it. Couldn't give a shit. If you did the kind of free work that I've done over the last decade of my life, you'd be ready to kill yourself. You would be way, way more. You wouldn't have even done it. You would have quit a long fucking time ago. The majority of people out there, the vast, overwhelming majority of people out there would have quit a long fucking time ago. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue, but I'm not going to do it in the same way that requires tremendous amounts of personal effort for little to zero reward on investment. And I don't mean financial reward. I mean reward in the sense that you can see the difference it's making in society. And I've seen zero of that. Actually, I've seen it go backwards. For the very reason that people are not listening to one of my main messages, which is to take action and actually get involved. I don't know how many more times I have to fucking say it. You consuming more and more and more is not going to get the job done. You got to put the work out there to other people. And if you don't have a media operation where you are doing that, the least you can do is volunteer some fucking time to help with mine or someone else's. So obviously, I'm extraordinarily upset about the situation. Obviously, I'm extraordinarily despondent about the entire condition of the world today. Just because you think you have some imbecile troll in the White House that he's going to do something to save the world? You think because you flip-flopped it over from the D to the R, from Democrat to Republican, that somehow the world is in such a wonderful state when you're still in a condition of slavery by the world's police and militaries? Dumb Neanderthals. I'm sorry, I don't want to insult the Neanderthal species like that. They know nothing about morality or what's going on in this place. And it's changing in a big way, isn't it? All those people are quitting their jobs. Yeah. They're all saying how immoral that they've been. The world's so waking up. It's a joke. A joke, and it's a joke because the people within the sound, largely the vast majority of the people within the sound of my voice have done nothing. And here's the thing, many of them don't have the technical skills, and that's the problem. They don't understand that telling the truth in the modern world involves the development of those technical skills. And if you're not doing that, you're not really serious about what you need to be doing. You're not serious about doing the great work and getting it out there. At least knowing the minimum amount. If you really look at what I'm asking, after 10 years of total free volunteer work that I've put out, it's not an unreasonable request. So if people want to see me continue with my work, start putting out the feelers. The doors of What on Earth is Happening will essentially be closed. I don't even know whether I'm going to continue keeping the website online for the monetary costs associated with it and the good that I feel it's not doing. Okay? So I need the technical help, or this media operation needs to go away, is the bottom line. Let other people do the shoddy work that they do, and the shoddy research that they do, and the shoddy conclusions that they come to. But if you want me to put out some quality material that a lot of people say that they like, then you got to get involved with helping me get the help that I need to continue it. Once again, if other people did what I did and got the response that I've got, you would have quit a long fucking time ago. You don't know how persistent and willful I am to continue in the way that I've done and with what I've gone through in my personal life. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever valued anything that I have ever done, please, this is one of the things I talked about on day one on this show and on this whole, media operation called What on Earth is Happening. And there's a bunch of assholes that still actually believe in this nonsense fairy tale that there are people within government that are going to save us and help us and make things better. You think that? You're a joke, and you always have been. It's not even like I need to reiterate this for people who are going to be listening to this, because the people who are really going to be listening to this understand this already. But the vast majority of human beings out there still don't. The numbers, the dynamics have not changed in a decade. And that's beyond sad. That's tragic. And I'm going to tell you the hard, cold reason that it has stayed like that. And the hard, cold reason it stayed like that is because the people within this so-called truth movement haven't done nearly enough and haven't taken nearly enough action to put the word out. And they're still being bucked by the fake news, by the corporate-controlled so-called news media.
Crisis cast, in a crisis revert to training, selling the service of crisis actors. Let's go through this website a little bit and take a look. Crisis cast, award-winning role play actors and filmmakers specially trained in disaster and crisis management. So this is very real. We We dramatize events for emerging security needs in the UK, Middle East, and worldwide. Our specialist role-play actors, many with security clearance, are trained by behavioral psychologists and rigorously rehearse in criminal and victim behavior to help police, the Army, and the emergency services, hospitals, schools, local authorities, government, private security firms, shopping centers, airports, big business, criminal justice departments, media, and the military.
Country Western concert, and you were right near the front. Corinne, what just started happening?
They started shooting, and everyone stayed down. And as soon as everyone started to get up to run, they just kept shooting, and it's like literally like 5 minutes of just shooting. Definitely, most definitely, the way they heard it, the crowd and all of us, and then they kept coming. They even came into the back staff parking lot and shot people out there too. So they just kept coming, and I hope they get them.
On the next Dr. Phil. Do you know a narcissist?
My world revolves around me completely. That whole thing was a mischaracterization. You made me look horrible.
Is this a mischaracterization of her?
No.
I would.
So my name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings here in Connecticut.
Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain give access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone with a TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see. As Charles Galton, Darwin and others have said in the past. It becomes you become it. And that's what's happened. It's been very, very, very successful. Never watch the television. You can't watch a movie unless you do it critically. If you watch it critically, not there to enjoy it. Remember what they say, it's your emotions that get you on. And it's interwoven, all these emotional themes all through movies. You're played like a harp. And they embed ideas into you, along with the movies. And predictive programming too. So you'll accept that which is still to come. And you'll behave the same way as the characters in the movie when it comes. Oh well, what can you do? I'll just watch much music or television. Yeah. You're given a mind of your own, and you've got to use it for yourself. And believe you me, if you ever had a nation or wanted a nation, you'd have to make sure that everyone took their turn. Everyone took their turn. Just like jury duty, to go in and oversee the guys that are supposed to be taking care of everything on your behalf. It's a tight club right now. It's been like that forever, because they never intended to give you anything called democracy, or, in fact, a republic. Gangs and fraternities run the systems of the countries. That's how they're run. And under taxation, and it's true what Marx said, and it's true what Lenin said about that part of it, all wealth comes from labor. And tax is another term for labor. When they take your labor from you and give you nothing back for it, that's called stealing and slavery. Slavery, folks. But no teacher told you that, did they? Look at the dictionaries, you can find an old enough one, because they keep changing them too.
They haven't taken the effort to become technical enough to become the new media. And the people, the idiots that have done that, they don't have enough knowledge. They don't even have the grammar underneath them to be able to put work out that does make sense to people, which is why you have all this noise in the signal with all these psyops coming out. with people who haven't done their homework and their research properly. So don't expect the situation to continue to get any better. Expect it to continue to get worse, and people who have been putting out legitimate efforts and legitimate research to back off of those efforts, because especially when I see other people who say that they know and aren't doing a damn thing to help. It's like going, oh yeah, we know that big weight or that big block has to go from point A to point B, and we see you and a couple other people carrying it, and we're sitting over here going, good job. Can I come over and pat you on the back? No, you could come and fucking help me carry the weight. I'm not interested in being patted on the back and told what a good job I'm doing. I need help. I'm not too proud to say I need help. I need help. Okay? I don't want to have to say I was wrong and the dark occultists were right. But right now it's looking that way. That's the thing that makes me the craziest and puts rage in my eyes. Then I think back and say, these lunatic psychopaths were actually telling me the truth. I don't want to believe it or accept it. They told me what human beings were and what they were like, and they said, you're making a mistake and you're going to the wrong side. And I don't want to believe that they were correct. Yet that's the struggle within my mind and heart every day, is that I constantly go back to thinking they were right and they told me nothing but the truth about people. I want them proven wrong, Ivan, and I don't know if it's going to come to pass that way, but we'll see.